Welcome to Team Kings, showcasing team spirit at Kings High School. It is February, which means it is letter of intent time. We had 6 different Kings athletes, all seniors, sign their letters of intent to participate in sports collegiately next year. And with us right now, 2 of those young ladies who did so. We have Kate McCurdy, who is going to be rowing at Berkeley next year. And we have Claire Diede, who is going to be playing soccer at Hawaii, both of which are wearing their respective shirts. Ladies, congratulations on the ceremony and the signing. Tell me a little bit about that moment. Kate, I'm going to start with you. When you are able to walk into a room and the cameras are there and the family's there and you're signing that letter of intent, what is it like?
Well, the biggest thing was just the payoff, because I've worked so hard these past 5 years and always hoped to continue on collegiately, and to finally be able to sign that letter was amazing.
And Claire, for you, you mentioned to me off camera that you've been to these letter signings before your senior year. You've seen others do it. Yeah. What was it finally like to get that opportunity yourself?
I was just filled with excitement and knowing that it was finally my time. And after being a freshman, looking at the big seniors getting their day and seeing how happy and excited they are. Just the fact that it was my time was amazing.
And when you would watch them as a freshman or a sophomore, did you think about it? I mean,
for sure.
Definitely
yeah,
so.
I always thought, that will be me someday. I'll be in there.
Very nice. And as far as family members who were in attendance, Kate, who did you have?
Both my parents were there.
Very nice. Mm-hmm. And Clara, I understand you had a few additional members of the family.
Both my parents were there, and then my aunt was there with her 6 kids.
Very nice. And we should mention, too, that Claire, when you signed, we had Emma Fleming and Katie Stella were also with you from the Kings soccer team. So the 3 of you having that moment together, what was that like for you?
It was amazing. We played at Crossfire together, and then we played 3 years at high school together. And so getting to do that final moment together, we've always talked about that, so that was awesome. Very
nice. And for you, Claire, I know you signed with Nii and Taylor, who are going to go off and play soccer and football. To have 2 of your classmates sitting at the table with you signing, what was the moment like?
I was just so happy for them, because I've seen both of their athletic development these past few years, and just to finally see that they got where they wanted to be is amazing.
Very nice. And we should point out, too, the 2 of you both participate, obviously, in sports that you love. You both participate away from Kings High School. For you, Kate, obviously, crew. There's not a crew team at Kings, so you go off and you row at the Pocock Rowing Center, one of the more premier rowing centers really probably in the nation. What's that experience been like, and tell me a little bit about Pocock.
So Pocock was founded by the Pocock family, which is one of the most influential families in the rowing community. And to have that whole separate rowing community is amazing, because I get to meet a ton of new people who go to different schools, and really expand my boundaries with that. And yeah.
As a rower, obviously, it's a sport that not a lot of participation in terms of numbers. Do a lot of your fellow classmates come to you with curiosity questions, or are they intrigued by what you're doing?
Because it's not so much a mainstream sport. It is a little unusual, just the whole way that rowing works. So people do ask me if it's, like kayaking or canoeing, which it's not. So,
not even close. Right?
So there are quite a few questions that I get asked.
I can imagine. And then Claire, for you play for Crossfire, one of the premier academies in the nation, really.
Yeah.
Number 1 ranked team in the nation right now, I might add. Tell us a little bit about what that's like, because you go to school at Kings, you live up in Snohomish County. Crossfire's in Redmond. I've got to think that's time consuming right there.
It's very time consuming, but I love it because I'm in a whole new environment with all different people, and I met some of my best friends. And at practice we do grind and we focus, but outside of practice we're best friends and we see each other 6 days a week. So it's awesome. And
I'm sure you're well aware of this. Kings girls won a state championship this year. How was that difficult for you to watch that, knowing that you're not out there with your teammates because the academy takes up all your time? Or
it was difficult, but I just wanted it to happen so badly, because it was the first time Kings soccer's ever won a state title, and knowing our journey, taking 2nd and then 3rd and then 2nd again, I believe, and then finally our senior year, Katie and Emma, they were able to be a part of that, and I was just so happy for them.
Well done. And then, Kate, for you, we talked with Claire a moment ago about some of the time commitments. Rowing is not an easy sport to partake in terms of time, is it? I mean, it's one of those things where you can't exactly get out of school and just go to the gym and start training for rowing. You have to be out on the water. What kind of a time commitment are we looking at?
So I go to practice every day after school, 5 days a week, of course, and then Saturday practice as well. And then when the season starts to get more competitive and intense, we have morning practices. So I'm on the water before and after school.
When you're on the water before school, what time is that at? It's school.
5 a.m.
You're on the water. You're not getting up at 5 a.m. You're
Correct.
actually on Lake Union at 5 a.m.
Correct.
So what time are you getting up to do that?
About 4:15. Yeah, because traffic isn't too bad that time in the morning, so I can wake up a little later.
So a little light breakfast on the way in, or are you eating while you're commuting, or how does it work?
Just a little protein bar on the way to practice.
Yeah, I can imagine. You need something there, right?
Yeah.
And before we talk about your recruiting process a little bit, tell me about where each of you are positioned in your sports. Claire, obviously, I think for us, most people can kind of relate to soccer a little bit more. Where are you at on the pitch? Where are you?
I'm a center forward.
You are center forward, okay.
Yeah, sorry, I'm a center forward.
So you're expected to score some goals then when you're out there?
Yes, definitely. Sometimes during my coach sometimes says to me is like, if you don't score at least 3 goals this weekend, you won't be traveling to our next event. So
no pressure there, right?
I mean, sometimes I feel like he's joking, but it pushes me, which is good.
Okay, have you always been a center forward, or is that?
No, this is my 2nd year, and other than that, I played center mid my whole life.
Okay, and again, we mentioned she's on a top-ranked team. You finished 2nd in the nation last year for this team, right? Mm-hmm. And when are the championships this year?
June 22nd through the 27th in San Diego.
So we'll see if the center forward can get herself a national championship at that time. And then, Kate, for you, tell me a little bit about your rowing. I know there are different size boats. Are you more prone to be on one particular type of a boat, or do you kind of hop around a little bit? What are you?
So you're right, the size does change. You can have anywhere from 1 rower to 8 rowers in a boat, and my favorite is the 8, so there's 8 rowers, and I like to be stroke seat, which is the person who sits up in front and sets the rhythm.
Okay. Are you able to move around in positions? Because I think that's one thing a lot of folks don't realize in rowing is that each position changes drastically, right? So really,
of course. So each seat in the boat has their own job per se. So it does change as people get faster, or it's really up to the coach what seat you sit in.
Okay, so we will see where she ends up when she gets to Cal. And now let's talk about those colleges a little bit. Claire, Hawaii. The Rainbows, right?
Yes, the Rainbow Warriors.
If you're going to play soccer and you're going to play a sport where you're wearing shorts and short sleeves, you might as well go for the sunshine.
Yeah, for sure.
What led to you signing with Hawaii?
Well, first off, what was most important to me was academics. And after talking with their academic advisor and the freshmen on campus who I stayed with, a couple girls are in the nursing program, and but for soccer, you have to do it in 6 years versus 4, which I already had an understanding of. And so knowing that I'd have freshmen or sophomores when I'm there ahead of me so I could follow their academic track was amazing. So the fact that that was all sorted out, I was able to look at the other factors. So secondly, I would say the people and the coaching staff, everyone's so friendly and happy, and I just fell in love with that. And then also, we travel to California a lot for our games because obviously we're pretty far from other schools that we play. So kind of being in that same routine that I'm already in where I travel to California often, I was really comfortable with that, and so just fell in love when I was there.
As far as being able to have family come and watch you play, you mentioned that you'll be playing in California a lot, but Hawaii, not exactly the easiest of places to get to. And I know you've also told me that your mom likes to come watch you play a lot. How is the family feeling about that? Are they excited about you being over in Hawaii?
They're very excited. When I start school there this summer, so my mom and my sisters will take me down, and they'll stay probably a week there just for a vacation, and they'll help me move in. But as far as league goes, I think my sister goes to school in California, so I think my mom or my dad can fly down and maybe visit me, and then visit my sister as well. So
plenty of opportunities there. Yeah. And then Kate McCurdy. The McCurdy name is fairly well known over at the University of Washington in rowing, right? And it's a big rivalry with Cal Berkeley, the two premier rowing schools really on the West Coast. Tell me a little bit about how you ended up at Cal.
So I did look at UW, of course, and my family is very involved in the rowing program there, but Cal was just a way better fit for me, and I wanted to get away from Seattle for a little while and experience somewhere new. And Berkeley's right outside of San Francisco, which is a city that I love. And, when I went down there to meet the team and the coaches, they were all very accommodating and welcoming, and just watching the girls work their hardest was something that, the environment they created was something that I wanted to be a part of.
As far as the recruiting process with rowing, I've got to think it's different than other sports. For instance, if somebody wants to watch Claire play soccer, easier to stand there on the sideline and watch what she's able to do and what her attributes are. As far as a rower, how do they recruit you? What are they testing you off to the side? Are they
So,
giving you
good question.
skill
So
tests?
it's all in the rowers' hands to start the recruitment process. So it's our responsibility to contact all the coaches that we want to talk to, and what they look at would be height is a very important factor, and then also speed on the rowing machine is one of the biggest things they will recruit off of, as well as what boats you have been racing in the past season.
Interesting. So
there's a lot of different factors that go in.
Yeah, a lot of different variables that you don't see in other sports, which is definitely interesting. Kind of curious, too, the fact that both of you are on select programs with your academy and you at the rowing center, you both travel quite a bit for your particular sports. Favorite locations to perhaps play? I'll start with you, Claire. Do you have a favorite soccer location in terms of where you've played in the past? Or
I would say San Diego, definitely. And having last year, we made it to the Final Four. When you make it to the Final Four, kind of the red carpet is rolled out, and you stay in a very nice hotel, and everything's very serious. And there's a huge conference room where there's a draw, so you figure out who you play in the two games or the first game. And so I would say that whole atmosphere and how exciting it is definitely, that'd be my favorite place to play.
And what about you, Kate? Where have you, of all the places you've rowed, do you have one or two favorites?
I have rowed all over the country and in Canada, and I do love racing in California. Just as Claire said, it's a beautiful place. But I would say the best water is on Vancouver Lake, Washington.
Oh, very interesting. Okay.
So pretty close.
And we should also put out, you've participated in the Windermere Cup before, right?
I have, yes. Not the collegiate level, obviously, but they have a separate race for the high school teams that place in the top positions in the region.
And what is that experience like? Because we see Windermere every time it comes up in Seattle once a year.
It's
the magnitude
quite
of it.
the experience. So I'm sure you've seen the pictures. There's quite a few spectators, and then all the boats line up, and there's all the yachts lined up, and it's very distracting because that is what sets the course. So you race a couple feet away from those yachts, and there's people grilling hamburgers and yelling, and that's just not something I'm used to racing next to. So it's a very different experience.
Do you hear the yelling when you're rowing, or do you block it out?
As hard as I try to block it out, it's really it's incredibly difficult to do so.
I've got to think the smell of the hamburgers too might be a little distraction
Yeah,
as you're rowing down the course, but
yeah.
it makes you hungry a little bit. Yeah, and I should also ask one last question before I let both of you go. As far as people who have influenced you in your particular sport, and the fact that you both play for, or you participate for premier leagues and clubs, who really has kind of helped you get to where you're at right now? Claire, maybe I'll start with you. Is there one particular soccer coach or a group of coaches maybe over at Crossfire?
For sure. This is my second year with my soccer coach, Billy Wiskell, and I definitely would not be playing college soccer if he wasn't my coach. He's been a huge advocate for me and always been there with hearing what my preferences are, and he helped me reach out to Hawaii. So, for sure, Billy Wiskell.
Very good. And Kate, what about you? Do you have a group of coaches or a coach that
I've had
you work with?
many different coaches throughout the years who have influenced me, but mostly my head coach, Brianna Schulte. She's been a huge factor in me getting to where I am, and especially in the recruitment process. She really encouraged me to go out there and talk with as many coaches as possible and see where I could get, and I really wouldn't be where I was today without her.
So it takes a village between family, coaches, and other folks in their lives. Claire, you're heading to Hawaii. Again, we mentioned soccer for the nursing program there as well. And then Kate, business and law perhaps at Cal?
Yes.
And she's going to be rowing, so you'll both keep very busy over there. Claire, Kate, best of luck to you. Enjoy the rest of your senior year at
Thank you.
Kings. And
Thank you
then
for having us.
absolutely,
Thank you.
best of luck next year. In keeping with our letter of intent theme for this week's show, we're joined by yet another Kings senior. This particular gentleman heading to Duke University to play soccer next year. He's got the Duke University attire on right now. Nii Engmann. Nii, congratulations on your commitment.
Thank you.
A very nice ceremony that you took part in recently, but really not necessarily something that just came about. You've been committed to Duke for a while. Tell us a little bit about how long you've been a Blue Devil.
Yeah, so I've been verbally committed to Duke since the summer of my sophomore year. So going on about 2 years now that I've been looking forward to going to Duke.
Well, the ceremony itself is always special, though, and I know you in particular had one with Kate McCurdy and Taylor Schoenfeld. Tell us a little bit about that particular event. Who was there from your family?
My younger brother and both of my parents were there, and I would say one of the most special things about it was getting to sit at the table with Taylor and Kate, and it was a very physical realization of all of the sacrifices we had made, all the events we had missed, all the hard work we had put in, and all the sort of things that we had passed by on the way, en route to getting to this bigger goal, and sort of just a very physical actualization of that.
Kind of puts it all in perspective, all in
Yeah.
one nice moment there. Is it more special when you get to share it with some of your fellow athletes?
I think it is. I think it is because they're the people who have shared the similar experiences as you, and so yes, it's tough to be in the gym by yourself or training by yourself, but it does make it that little bit easier when you get home and you have a buddy who you can call up or text and say, hey, you know,
They
this
can
is the
relate.
life we live, you know.
Very
they can
nice.
relate to that.
And we should mention, too, we had Claire on earlier in the show. You, much like her, participating in soccer for Crossfire.
Yes, sir.
Tell us a little bit about the Crossfire Academy and what that's meant to your career so far.
Yeah, Crossfire has been a huge part of my development in soccer, and part of it has just been coaches who push me day in and day out to work hard and just become better every single time I touch a soccer ball, and remind me that no matter who you are, who you're playing with, where you are, it all depends on what you put in, and anytime there's a soccer ball, an opportunity to get better, you can take that or you can leave it.
We should mention that Crossfire, the academy, means that you're not able to play the high school sport at the Kings level anyway. So do you feel like you miss out on certain things in terms of camaraderie with Kings students? Obviously, you still see everybody on a daily basis in classes, but not playing with some of your fellow classmates. Have you missed that at all? Or
I think there is something to be said for missing out on the team experience of playing for your school, but I would say more so than that, I think one of the regrets that I would have is not getting the opportunity to play with my younger brother.
And that's Christian, who plays on the Kings soccer team.
Yes, he is.
So Christian, being a sophomore this year, how does he feel about that? Does he sometimes wish that older brother was out there on the pitch with him?
I think there are times when he would like that if I was out there, but I think he also does enjoy being one of the top players on that team as a freshman and now as a sophomore. And so I think he does enjoy a little bit of that and getting to take a little bit of a leadership role as well.
Leadership role and maybe a little more of the limelight, perhaps?
Yeah.
Very nice. How's the Kings soccer team looking this year? You obviously follow them quite extensively because of your brother.
They do have a lot of good senior leaders, and they have some strong underclassmen support as well. So I think they have a really good shot this year because they do have the experience and the athleticism, but they also have some of the raw skill and talent that can get you just over the edge. And so I think that they have a really good shot this year.
And with you playing at Crossfire, you play all over the place. It's not just locally. You're traveling nationally, East Coast, West Coast. Tell me a little bit about some of the places you've been and some of the players you've maybe played with.
So yeah, we travel all over the country, Florida, Texas, all up and down the East Coast and West Coast. We do get Central a couple times. We've been to Indiana, we've been to Minnesota, places like that. We do play in Canada sometimes, and we have participated in international tournaments. We've gone down to Mexico. We send teams to Italy. We also, in a month here, we're going to the Netherlands to play against some of the top European clubs and their youth academies. And so, traveling that much, you get an opportunity to play against a lot of kids who are on a similar trajectory to you, some of whom are maybe higher up and some of whom are lower down. So getting the opportunity to play against kids who are playing professionally already who are coming down for a break, or kids who are not quite there yet, but you can see that they're building. It's always interesting to see that level and how everyone relates and play against teams where maybe the team is not very good, but they have one or two kids who are exceptional. And it also just depends on the area you play in. And also some of the different ethnic makeups of the teams can be very interesting as well.
I can imagine you get a little bit of everything there. You
Yeah.
mentioned higher level and lower level. Even the lowest level, if you will, is still high caliber, right? I mean, you're not exactly,
Absolutely. Yeah, even the lowest level of academy soccer, you're still talking about players who are getting recruited to play college ball. So,
And out of all the places you've played, do you have a favorite location or a favorite tournament you've maybe played in?
Florida is definitely probably my favorite place that I've played in. Beautiful location, beautiful fields, and the competition is always top notch. We go there every year, just before Christmas. So also nice to get out of the cold.
I
and
can relate to
just
that.
about every college coach in the country is normally there, and a lot of national team coaches and other scouts. So that's always a great opportunity.
Well, you mentioned Florida. You're heading to the Athletic Coast Conference, which is what Duke plays in, and the University of Miami and Florida State University both in that conference. So
Yeah.
certainly opportunities to play there. What led to the decision to go to Duke? North Carolina, not exactly right down the road here. So
Yeah.
how did you come to that conclusion?
Well, I've loved Duke basketball since I was probably 12 years old, and everyone else in my family loves the University of North Carolina. So there's a good little family rivalry there, and I've always said, "Oh, I want to go to Duke. I want to go to Duke." And then once I actually came of age to start looking at college and decided that I was going to play college ball, then I had to completely reevaluate because I was like, okay, I can't choose a college based on 12-year-old Nii sweatshirt. And so then I went through the process, and after reevaluating, visiting lots of colleges, talking to coaches, researching all these programs, I actually, in the end, ended up coming back to my first love, which is Duke.
So the Coach K influence of the basketball influence having an effect on you as a soccer player. Interesting.
Yeah, a little bit.
When did you get to go to visit Cameron or anywhere else when you were on the trip?
Yeah.
Okay,
I've been
where'd they play?
I've been to visit Cameron on multiple occasions actually.
The basketball arena for the Blue Devils, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just, and the whole campus is beautiful, and the soccer facilities are just, they're off the charts.
What other schools did you take interest in? Where else were you looking?
I was also interested in Georgetown University in Washington, D.C., and I visited Yale as well, and Princeton. Those were just some of the schools that I was really interested in.
What's the recruiting process like in terms of when you're on the official visit? Any fun stories? Any interesting things you get to experience and see?
Yeah, I think that going on visits is always fun because you're going to a place where everyone is aware that the people at the place you're going to are trying to convince you that their school is basically the best school in the country and there's no better place for you. And so it's always nice to go to a place and have people, not following your every command, but people very much looking out for trying to make you as comfortable as possible and showing you around and letting you see basically the best parts of their campus and their college life. And it also is a great opportunity because during the recruitment process, you are, of the vast majority of the time, you're talking to coaches and athletic directors and scouts. And when you go on official visits, you're staying with the players. And so it's a new experience. You get to see the college and hear about the college from a totally different perspective and see what it would be more like as a student there.
Right, makes sense.
It's always special.
Every school you just mentioned has very high academic standards, so obviously that's something that I would imagine weighed into your decision.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about Duke. What would you like to study there, and how much of an influence was that on your ultimate decision?
Yeah, so academics are something that has always been important to me and something that my parents have stressed to me from a very young age. And so I'm looking, when I go to Duke, to possibly study and do a double major in marketing and law. And so that is sort of the overall dream or goal, and also depending on my soccer schedule, that would influence sort of what classes I take and how much time I have. But that would be that's the goal. Right
Double
now.
major with a college sport on top of it. That would keep you busy. Duke, a program that does well on the field as well too. Right? Tell me a little bit about the program and the team itself.
Yeah, Duke has always been a top 20 competitor in college soccer, and even this past year making it to the NCAA tournament and going deep into the tournament and losing in heartbreaking style. But it's a place where I feel like I'm going to a program that is going to be competing for national championships from the first day I step on the field, and having a chance to be a contributing part of that it's just something that I look forward to.
And you play forward. Have you already kind of started looking at the roster and where you might fit in next year? Were they senior heavy this year at forward?
They were a little bit senior heavy this year at forward, so there is sort of an opening a little bit, and I'm looking to try and make my mark and prove to them that I'm the right person for the job and step up and sort of take control there.
Very good. Hey, I asked the other girls this question earlier too, so I want to check with you as well. Influential coaches over your time in your sport and how they've impacted your life. Obviously, when you play for an organization like Crossfire, you've got some of the best coaches really in the entire nation at your side. Tell me a little bit about some of the coaches who have had influence on you.
Yeah, I truly believe that I've been blessed to have some of the best coaches in the nation, and getting to see a lot of coaches. The more coaches I see, the more lucky I feel to have the specific coaches that I do. And so I would say that the three coaches that have had the greatest influence on me are Coach Troy Leatherman, Coach Mark Collins, and then my head coach and current coach right now, Bernie James, who has been coaching me for 6 years now. So has really seen me grow up as a player and as a person. And one of the big things that has stuck out to me is how my coaches have been there for me, not just on the field, but off the field, going through things and helping me to grow as a man as well as a soccer player. So that's been really special for me.
And Bernie James, I think a name a lot of folks know around here from his days playing professionally in the area back in the day. I know Tacoma Stars for one team.
Yeah.
Is professional soccer something that you would aspire to do after college?
Absolutely. I'm looking to become a professional once I finish my degree. So that has definitely been a goal for a long time and will continue to be something I strive for going into the future.
Very good. The sky's the limit. You're not done with school yet this year. You're still at King's. What does the rest of the school year look like for you? I know you were a state champion last year on the 4x100 state relay team.
I was.
Is that a possibility? Is that something you're still looking at? Or is your time commitments now are kind of being pulled in different directions? So what are you going to do this spring?
This spring is going to be a lot of time making sure that I'm keeping my grades up, and first and foremost, and then right now our team is 4th in the nation, and so we're going to be chasing a national championship at
That's your Crossfire team,
level. Yeah, at the academy level, and so that's going to be those are going to be probably the top 2 priorities. But running track again this year and being able to get on the track with some of my buddies from school and do something that's a little bit less pressure in terms of the performance side of things compared to the club soccer and what I'm going to college to do. It's always fun, and track is a great way for any athlete to improve their raw athleticism and speed and strength and those sorts of things. So it's something that I would love to participate in.
And you're involved with other school activities as well, right?
Yes, I've had the opportunity to be involved in the King Social Justice Program for all 4 years of high school, and so to be able to be on that team and work with people who are now in college or moved on and are doing these great jobs and have been able to put on conferences and banquets and go to places like Chicago with these people and just experience all these things has been a big part of building who I am as well.
School activities, academics, soccer, sometimes track. How do you find time to balance everything?
You really have to be committed to each and everything that you do and be willing to throw yourself wholeheartedly into accomplishing what needs to be done. So whether it's going to soccer and working as hard as you can, you do that and you get home and you say, okay, no matter what time it is, I'm going to accomplish this piece of homework, that, assignment, this thing for social justice before I go to bed. And you put your head down and you grind and you do it till it's done. And so one thing that has always been something that my coaches have told me and that I've tried to stick by is, if you keep working hard, there's nothing you can't do. And that idea of working hard and just pushing through any sort of boundaries and making conscious decisions that the only person who can truly stop you is yourself when you make your mind up to do something. And so using that to, set time boundaries on things and also making the sacrifices for things that aren't absolutely crucial has been sort of how I've gone through high school.
And the hard work does pay off, as you can tell with the hat and the shirt, and it's led to a soccer scholarship at Duke. Nii, congratulations on all of your accomplishments so far. Best of luck not only on chasing that national championship at Crossfire this year, but perhaps chasing a national championship at Duke in the years to come. Certainly a great opportunity for us to talk to you and to hear about your story. We should also mention, too, before we sign off today, another great story taking place right now. Kings boys basketball team still alive in the playoffs. Big come from behind victory earlier this week as they took on Overlake. They were down by 15 in a loser out game. came back and won that game. I think they went on a 14-1 run to end the game and win by 4. Kings will now be heading to the regionals, and we're going to put up on the screen here right now the next opponent, their time, and the location, as that will be determined over the weekend. So best of luck to Coach Rick Skeen and the guys, and hopefully the Knights will have some of that success as well. Are you a basketball fan? You follow?
I am, yeah.
So we're hoping the Kings Knights can win that game at regionals and perhaps force you guys to make a decision to maybe go to the Yakima Sundome.
Yeah, I think we're headed to the Dome.
So we'll see if Nii and the rest of his classmates are going to go down and support those guys. Nii, thanks again for everything.
Thank you so much.
Best of luck to you in the future. And thank you for watching this particular episode of Team Kings. Until next time, take care.